What's up guys, this is Theo here. Welcome back to another coding tutorial. This will be Introduction to ReactJS, part 5. So let's get to it. This is on, let's see, looks like it's on components, render other components. So let's get to it. Let's continue. And this should load up the first one and we can read about it. So it says a React application can contain dozens or even hundreds of components. Each component might be small and relatively unremarkable on its own. When combined, however, they can form enormous, fantastically complex ecosystems of information. In other words, React apps are made out of components, but what makes React special isn't components themselves. What makes React special is the way in which components interact. This unit is an introduction to components interacting. Cool. So number 2. Here is a render function that returns an HTML-like JSX element. So we've seen this from the beginning. You create your class, you define methods on it. So this is render, and then you can return an object. Okay, cool. You can also return another kind of JSX component, instances. Awesome. So this component can return that component. It's pretty cool. So cool. Just learning about that. Let's move on. This is new territory. You've never seen a component rendered by another component before. You have seen a component rendered before, though, by ReactDom.render. When a component renders another component, what happens is very similar to what happens when ReactDom.render renders a component. You can see two files. On the code editor: profile page.javascript and navbar.javascript. This lesson, you're going to make a profile page render a navbar. How do you do that? To start, simply make profile pages render function return a navbar instance. In profile page JS, place a navbar on line 9. So it looks like what we're going to do is we're going to place this navbar element. It looks like it's going to be interpolated. So that's pretty cool. Let's try and run that and see what happens. Looks like we're just going to get the contents of this component in here. So cool. And this is just going to render all of this. Cool. So let's get started. 4. When you use ReactJS, every JavaScript file in your application is invisible to every other JavaScript file by default. Profile page.js and navbar.js can't see each other. This is a problem. On line 9, you just added an instance of the navbar component class, but since you're in profile page.js, JavaScript has no idea what navbar means. If you want to use a variable that's declared in a different file, such as navbar, then you have to import the file that you want. To import a file, you can use require and pass in a file path. Okay, so it looks like we're going to use that. If you pass require a string that begins with either a dot or a slash, then require will treat that string as a file path. Require will follow that file path and import the file it finds. If your file path doesn't have a file extension, the JS is assumed. So the above example could be shortened to require navbar without the JavaScript. The navbar on line 9 isn't going to work until you import navbar.js. So let's import that. Profile page.js on line 3 is required to import. Okay, so that should work. We're just importing our navbar. Let's see if this works. Cool. So alright, you've learned how to use require to import a file into a different file, but you don't want to import a whole file. Navbar.js just isn't really what you're looking for. You just want to import the navbar component class so you can render a navbar instance. What you need is a way to import only a specific part of a file into another file. The answer is something called module.exports. Module.exports comes from Node.js's module system, just like require does. Module.exports and require are meant to be used together, and you basically never see one without the other. Here's how you use module.exports. In one file, declare module.exports to be equal to an expression. It could be any expression you want. So it looks like this variable, we're just exporting everything inside of here. Cool, so that's the container. In a different file, use require to import the first file. Require won't return the entire first file. It'll return the first file's module.exports value. Cool. So yeah, it's going to grab this file, but since we're using module.exports, we're only taking this snippet of code. Means if you require the file that I'm in, then here's what you're going to get. Cool, so select navbar.js. At the bottom of of the file, add the line module.exports equals navbar. So we're exporting everything inside of this navbar. Now in profilepage.js use require, it will get back exactly what it wants, the navbar component class. So we can see how this is important and only grabbing the information we want and not taking a performance hit. So let's run this. See if this works. Cool. So now you're ready for profile page to render navbar. All that's left to do is render profile page. At the bottom of profilepage.js, use what we've been doing all along, react.render. We're going to render profile page. And let me get rid of that. And the second argument, like always, will be document.get element by ID, and then we'll pass it app. Cool. And let's see if that returns us the result we want. So cool. Our navbar, basically all it's giving us is all the top of the stuff up here. So it's being inserted there, but you could really put it anywhere you want. You could even put it, we could put it all the way after the image, and then we could see that it'll go below the monkey now. If it works, I'll show you. Cool, so there it is. Pretty sweet. Awesome. Congratulations, it may not seem like a big deal yet, but you've just discovered the key to React's power. By nesting components inside of other components, you can build infinitely complex architectures, even if each component is relatively simple. The relationship that you built is the fundamental relationship behind React.js. Cool, so it looks like up next is this.props. Learn about one of the ways to store dynamic information in React, this.props. So we will start that next time. But yeah, guys, it looks like we're about 72% through this track. Pretty exciting. We have looks like we have 2 more to go. So yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Always appreciate the subscribers. Thanks for watching, guys. See you in the next video, and have a great day. Thanks.